Hi everyone, JCRTP here. It's been a long time since I've done a video and talked to you guys about the state of the Proteus, but I have certainly been busy. I haven't abandoned the project by any means, and so today I am kind of resurfacing to share what I've done and announce that the system is actually ready for reservations for people to go in and let me know what they want. So let me give you a quick recap of what's changed, what the system is for people that are new and haven't seen it before, what it's capable of, who it's for, and then we can get into a little bit of the details of what the options are. Essentially, the Proteus is an extension of, or rather, it's an evolution, I should say, of very low-powered staking at home. So staking at home for Ethereum users using less than 10 watts of power is the plan. And so what you can see here is this is what I call the active cooling system, the active cooling units. Colloquially, it's the fanned case. And then I've got this kilowatt here, which you saw in the last video showing how much power it's actually pulling from the wall. And this isn't a complete production system. This is very close. It's still missing a few components here and there, and a couple of things are different than what the actual production system will be, but it's close enough, so we can use this as a demonstration. So on the surface, with this particular unit, what you're looking at here is a full, complete computer, kind of like a mini PC or a Nook, if you're familiar with those, these little small computers. It has 8 cores, it has 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it has a 2 terabyte solid-state NVMe drive in there. From a performance perspective, this is on par with like an i8 Nook or anything along those lines. Basically, a similar sort of low-power staking system that you would get with an x86 processor. I should mention this is an ARM processor, ARM64, not x64 like you might be used to. But that doesn't actually matter as far as staking goes because this thing still keeps pace with those things. In some cases, it even beats them, which is nice. The big benefit is because this is a single board computer, everything is on a single circuit board. It's actually quite cheap, or well, relatively cheap, and it is very low power. So what it's doing right now is it's syncing Geth and Nimbus. Let me change over to the screen here so you can see what I'm talking about. There we go. This is the Rocket Pool dashboard that all of the Rocket Pool users use to sort of monitor their system. It's basically health and things. And what you can see here is Nimbus is currently backfilling. So I checkpoint synced it, and it is currently backfilling the historical blocks from the chain. And then Geth is doing a snap sync. So it started from scratch, and it's begun the process of syncing the chain data and things. Throughout that, this is as hard from a load perspective as a node will ever have to work in its life. Once the chains are synced and it's validating, it's actually comparatively much less load. It's much easier on the system. But what you're looking at here is even during this hard part while it's syncing, the CPU temperature is 42.5 degrees Celsius. And if I take a look at the NVMe temperature here, you can see it's hanging out at a nice 48. And these things are designed to be safe up to like 80 or even 100 in some cases. So there is miles of headroom from a thermal perspective. And if we go back to the actual board itself, there we go. We can see that during the syncing process, here according to the kilowatt, it looks like it's pulling about 8, 9 watts. Sometimes it goes up to 10, now it's down to 7. So I would say anywhere between like 6 and 10 watts. Once it's done syncing, that'll actually drop down to 4 or 5 during attestation duties, which is perfect. You know, as someone who is constantly aiming to get the most efficient staking system possible, this is way in the green. This is right up my alley. Anyway, on the inside, let me pop this top off. Very easy to take off. What you can see, let's see if I can tilt this up here. There's the single board computer. That's the Rock 5B that the system is based off of. You can see the fan mount is 3D printed and the fan is attached to that. And then I have this front plate that is sort of like exclusive to the Proteus here. It is this thing, which has a blue power indicator that actually turns off when the board turns off, which is something that the conventional LED built into the Rock 5e doesn't do. That for some reason always stays on as long as the the power is plugged in even when the board is turned off. But this one goes off when the board is off, it's blue when the board is on, and then you've got this activity indicator. So this acts and feels much like a conventional PC with these two things. And then of course you have your power button, and this slot at the very bottom, if you can see that, is just for a micro SD card. You can slip that in if you need to. And then this thing is called the vanity plate, and this is essentially an aluminum plate that I run through my laser etcher, and I can customize that to be whatever anybody wants. So I happen to have on there right now the logo for Mercadian Systems. That's the company that I made to kind of like build and distribute these things. Essentially, it's my little startup company. But anything can go on there. So as an example, let me show you the fanless case, excuse me. This thing right here is the fanless unit, and this has an aluminum chassis that acts like a massive heatsink that's tied directly to the CPU with a thermal pad. And then on the bottom, there's another thermal pad that connects to the NVMe solid state at the bottom. And this is just sort of like another aluminum block, essentially. You see that? So this case actually comes from Radxa, and that's the company that builds the Rock 5. What I've done with this is I've replaced the standard, the kind of stock front plate. This is what the stock front plate looks like. It's this lovely green color. I've replaced this with this sort of custom 3D built thing, that 3D printed thing, excuse me, that has support for that blue power LED and that red activity LED. It has our power button. It's got the slot for the solid state drive, and it also has a slot for that vanity plate. So even if you want to go with the fanless option, if you prefer a passively cooled option, you can still get all the great features from the original Proteus. And so it really comes down to preference. These both cost exactly the same. After having run the numbers, I'm happy to report that both of these units, the base units, are $575. That does not include shipping. It doesn't include taxes or anything. That's just the base units. But they are $575. And then if you want to customize this vanity plates, it's just an additional $20, so that I can run it through the laser engraver and kind of design things. And that's it. That is pretty much how the Proteus works. It is a very simple, very small computer designed for Ethereum homestakers who are interested in having good performance and being as efficient as possible. I mean, since the merge started this whole Ethereum is green narrative, I figured this is a good way to play into it, is staking with 5 watts of power, right? But anyway, I have put a Google form together. As far as reserving these things, I'm not taking orders in the sense of collecting payments for them yet. I'm simply gauging interest in who wants one and the kinds of options they're looking at. So this, the case here, or the front plates, in the case of the fanless case here, this front plates or this case, I can actually print that, since it's all 3D printed, in whatever color you want. I have a couple of stock colors that I use that kind of come as standard: white, black. This is ash gray, which I like a lot. There's a rocket pool orange and a metallic gold option on there as well. But if you want a custom color, that's totally fine. I'm happy to print a custom color. It just costs a little more so that I can buy the filaments to print it. And obviously this plate can be personalized as well. So I'll put a link in the description, and I'll probably tweet this out and put some announcements on Discord about the link for the Google form where you can reserve these things if you'd like, and sort of preserve your line in the queue, because I build them on a first in, first out kind of basis. So whoever gets into the queue first gets it. And yeah, that's the Proteus in a nutshell. It is a nice little computer that's on par or cheaper than a similarly spec'd out Nook, with as far as the RAM and the CPU goes, and it works with 5 watts of power. That's really all I could ask for. So if you're interested, give that Google form a look and let me know what you think. Thanks everybody. Thanks for all your support to the Rocket Pool Discord. I could not have kind of put this together without your constant encouragement, and I will see you guys on the other side. JCRTP signing off. Oh, and happy holidays everybody.